Good morning, guys. Welcome back to another episode of AKP Sports Talk. That is Ari. I'm Korea. You know, I don't know what it is with just these bad beats in baseball, but we have been getting killed, man. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's always one thing with me, but you know what? I will take the sweat-free winner that I did have in the Rangers A's. Both teams went over 8.5, so that was so sweat free. I don't need to go on about that. when both teams go over the total at 8.5, you know that was free. Then with the parlay, oh man, the Orioles look they put. I mean, if you want to talk about a push parlay, this was the push parlay until the Mariners collapsed. I mean, the Orioles first five money line they tied it 1-1, so. Uh, and then the next inning, Gunnar Henderson. The next inning, the Orioles are this close, man. I'm telling you, they are this close to being banned. I'm telling you, D-backs and Reds. Game finishes at 7. Just tough read there, and then the Mariners. Just yesterday, tough. They were down 4-3, so they were covering, and then 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th from Cody Bolton. And it was 6-3, so the Mariners unfortunately did not cover that run line, so that was a loss. But I mean, that whole parlay was a loss to me. I mean, we had 2 pushes and a loss. What a disaster yesterday with that parlay. But you know what? I will take the Rangers and A's. That over was so free. Obviously, 12-11 ball game. So we'll take that. Ari, how'd you do yesterday? I know the Mariners lost.
Yeah, 1-1. Got back with the Royals. Mariners, another day, another pitcher basically setting career high strikeouts against them. I mean, Paddock, he tied career high. Technically, didn't set it, but like 11 strikeouts. They had like 9 in the first 4 innings. And like Paddock is like the ultimate like pitch to contact guy. Like he's not like a strikeout pitcher, and they still struck out. I think it was like of the first 9 outs or 10 outs, it was 8 strikeouts in the first 10 outs. So. Yeah, that was bad, but the Royals bounced back. Singer gave a back-to-back double to start the game, which wasn't good, but then he settled in. That was the only run he gave up in his whole outing, 5 in the third. Royals won 6-4, so they tried to blow a 9-0 lead again, but held on this time. So, yeah, both of us 1-1 days yesterday, which, isn't the best, but not the worst, so kind of in the middle.
Yeah, 1-1 day for me, 1-1 day for you. We'll take it. It's not what we want to be. Like you said, we'll take it. We're gonna hopefully bounce back today. Obviously a very light card for baseball, and we do got a couple NBA games tonight, so not the biggest card tonight. But that's why I only have one play and one play only, and it hates me to say this as a Mariner fan, but we're going with the Astros money line at plus 114 against the Yanks today in Game 4 of their series. Now, the only reason why we are taking this is because we are fading Marcus Stroman. And, I feel like, people forget that, Marcus Stroman, he has a bunch of inconsistencies. And, righties in this lineup, I feel as if Marcus Stroman is going to struggle today against most of this lineup. They know how to hit him, and they hit him pretty well. I think they're hitting near 280 for some batters, near 300 for some. So they've had plenty of contact against him. Obviously the Astros have kind of been owned by the Yankees this whole entire series, and I do expect them to pick up one, and I think this is the game they pick up that one game. Going for the Astros is Ronel Blanco, so they do have one of their better pitchers on the mound. Obviously there are some people that are saying, he is due for some regression, but I don't think he really is. He's more of I'd say he's more kind of the right-handed version of Framber Valdez in terms he is more of a pitch to contact guy, but instead of a lefty, he's a righty. And so I feel the Yankees will probably struggle against him with a bunch of swing and misses today as well. The Yankees bats, they show up sometimes and sometimes they don't. And I think today is the day where they do struggle a little bit. So I'm taking the Astros at plus money. I just love the fact that, we're getting the Astros at around plus 114, in a game where I think this is a must. I mean, for them right now, almost every game is a must win considering how abysmal their season has started. But right now in this series, I think this obviously is a must win to kind of end on a positive before they move on to whoever they're playing next. But I do like the Astros here against Marcus Stroman on the road in the final game of the series against the Yankees. And then obviously for the Astros, Ronald Blanco, I do think he will probably, go at least probably 5 to 6 innings. I've been seeing some of his props. I think his outs props is like maybe around 16 and a half, 17 and a half, somewhere around that number, I believe. But, I'm just backing the fact that the Yankees bats are probably going to struggle today. And I know the Astros bats have always kind of been more the consistent factor for the Astros. It's just, the bullpen and the pitching has kind of been, the more questionable factor for this Astros team. And I think with their best pitcher on the mound, I think they get the win today. So give me the Astros here. We're just taking them at plus money at plus 114. I think we're getting great value for a struggling team right now who I think can pull off an upset. And, it's always, these Thursday, Wednesday, like Thursday, last game of the series kind of games for, both teams. It's where, one team usually puts out a weaker lineup than the other team or, vice versa. And on the other side, they don't really have their strongest hitters. And, that could be a benefit. If the Yankees put out a weaker lineup today because they've already pretty much won that series. So we're just kind of backing that. So we're just backing the Astros today. We're getting them at plus money. Dogs usually like to maybe win out on the last day if they're trying to avoid the sweep. So give me the Astros here at plus 114. That's my one and only play today. We're keeping it light on a light day myself. But Ari, obviously it is a light day, but what have you cooked up today?
Yeah, my usual 2 plays going to the NBA playoffs. I like the Mavericks to bounce back. I like them spread, and I also think that they have a pretty good chance at bouncing back and winning. So I like the Mavericks plus 5 and then sprinkle on the money line. Obviously, game 1, they got crushed. They lost by 22. Just a bad day for Luka, and then Kyrie wasn't great either. But I mean, if you look at game 1 of the Clippers series, they got crushed in that game too before they kind of figured things out in game 2 with how the Clippers like to play, and I kind of like them to do the same thing, kind of looking at how the Thunder played in game 1 and making adjustments to help them get back in the series. I think the series is going to be a lot closer than what game 1 would indicate. So I like the Mavericks here to bounce back. Plus 5 right now. Also sprinkle on the money line at plus 164. Obviously, they don't want to go down 2-0. Obviously, it wouldn't mean the series is over to go down 2-0, but they don't want to go down 2-0, obviously. The Thunder really caught fire from 3 in the second half after, I think it was, or I guess they were down 9.5, so it wasn't like that close to half, but it was somewhat competitive in the first half, and then the Thunder ran away with it in the second half. I think really I guess the fourth quarter they ran away with it, but just looking for the Dallas to make adjustments in game 2 to keep it closer and have a chance to win in the end. And then one MLB play, White Sox Guardians under 4.5 in the first 5. Kind of an ugly play on paper because Eric Fetty against Ben Lively, but this game, I believe, right, it's in Chicago, and Fetty's been a lot better at home. We talk a lot about splits at home versus on the road, and bagging pitchers are better at home. And so far this season, Fetty has a 4.87 ERA on the road and a 1.93 ERA at home in 3 starts. So really just backing Fetty at home where he pitches better. And then Lively's been good pretty much everywhere so far this season, on the road and at home. Even against the Braves, 4 1/3 1 run, which obviously we take a start like that here against the White Sox. Obviously, also both lineups aren't the best. Cleveland can be good at times. White Sox can be good at times in certain matchups, but not super worried about either lineup. Generally speaking, Lively 2 road starts this year at Boston, 2 runs over 5 innings. And then at Atlanta, 1 run over 4 1/3. I think he can go deeper, obviously, against the White Sox and against those 2 lineups. And then Fetty at home, 8 1/3 against the Rays, 2 runs, 5 2/3 shutout against the Royals. And then first start against the Tigers, 2 runs over 4 2/3 in his first start of the season. So just kind of backing both pitchers here, Fetty and Lively, under 4.5 in the first 5. So those are my 2 plays today.
You mentioned this whole Mavs series with Thunder, and for game 1, I don't think you mentioned the second half was pretty, indicative. I don't think it was really indicative of how the series is going to play out. You mentioned, I think the Mavs with their veteranship, with Luka and Kyrie, and with the not inexperienced, just the young mentality of this OKC team. I think, this is going to be a really fun series, and I expect the Mavs, to make this a competitive series. And you mentioned, the Mavs, I think they're one of the best teams in terms of their road spread. I saw a stat the other day. They're one of the best teams on the road. So, in game one, we obviously, you mentioned the first half was a lot more, obviously a lot closer. And then that was when Kyrie was struggling. I think had like 0 to 3 points in the first half or something, just really not really hitting the shots. But, obviously he had a lot better of a second half, but, so did OKC. So, I do like your play there on the Mavs +5 and sprinkling the money line as well for them to bounce back in game 2 on the road before they go back to Dallas for game 3 at home. And then, I do love that White Sox Guardians first 5 under 5. Me personally, I just cannot bet anything on the White Sox anymore because that team has sold me not once, not twice, but 3 times this year. And I cannot do that anymore, but I do love this play for you. You mentioned Eric Petty at home. He does have good splits against his Guardians team as well. And you mentioned at home, we always talk about, the system of the unders, especially with these windier games or, weather playing a factor, but I do also like the matchup on the mound with Ben Lively. He's been one of the more, consistent arms for the Guardians with Shane Bieber, their kind of lead guy essentially out for pretty much the season. And then against a weak White Sox lineup, you mentioned his stats against the Boston Red Sox going 2 runs in 5 innings. Now they're playing a weaker White Sox lineup that is absolutely this is horrifically bad White Sox lineup. And then the Guardians, as I mentioned, Eric Petty has good splits. So I love those 2 plays for you. Sprinkling the Mavs +5 into the money line as well with the White Sox and Guardians first 5 under 5 or under 4.5. Those are Ari's 2 plays. My one and only play today, just the Astros on the money line. We're getting them for a good price at +114. Ronald Blanco, the better pitcher in this matchup. Ari, I see you shaking your head. I'm assuming it's because of the Mariners, and I don't even want to talk about it right now.
Another strikeout for Julio.
No, nothing new. Mariners and strikeouts, the combination that we don't want, but it's going to happen every single year. So Astros money line, we're getting up at +114. Like I said, Ronel Blanco, the better pitcher in this matchup. And, dogs usually like to pull out, especially and avoid the sweep system here. Obviously, the Yankees taking, I believe, the first 2 or 3 games of the series. And now the Astros are trying to avoid the sweep. So that's my one and only play today. You can find, obviously, all of these plays on our Twitter below, AKP Sports Talk. You can find this video along with all of our plays posted momentarily. That's going to do it for this episode. We will be back soon, but obviously, unfortunately, not tomorrow. Ari will be traveling throughout the entire weekend, so we will be back sometime next week. Keep that information on our Twitter. We will be giving out some information about when we will be coming back, but obviously, we will be giving out our daily cards on our Twitter, so make sure to go down to our Twitter, AKP Sports Talk. Give that a follow so you have our daily cards. We will be posting obviously tomorrow and then the beginning of next week, Monday and Tuesday as well. But that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. That's Ari. I'm Korea. We will see you guys sometime.